one's because the camera's set up to look at these two chairs. And if you'd like to sign your name,
add my name to the list.
you can use your character name or your name. Your right. And then even if it's coming in and getting a ball rolling, and okay, you're good, and I go, whatever, perfect. And when the light's green, that means it's going to be broadcasting the audio.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have been better off.
Well, it's flashing right now. Oh, because it's not plugged in.
Yeah.
There we go. Zally?
Zally, yes, I go by Zally.
Okay. Perfect. Now it's great.
Okay. Talking to the mic.
Look at the URL real quick so we can share it if anyone wants to watch.
Okay. You want me to clip this on my thingy?
Yeah. Just heads up. DLI.
Yeah, it's all green.
All right.
All right.
So we should be good. Hey, Zally.
Hi.
Lovely to meet you again.
Nice to meet you again.
How are you doing?
I am doing okay.
All right. All right. So how long have you been playing DragonRealms?
I've been playing off and on since 97.
97? Okay.
1997.
What keeps bringing you back?
I love the game. I love the atmosphere, the opportunities to role play, get involved with other people doing the same thing.
Okay. And you're actually involved with the jousting club, is that right?
Yes, I run Heart and Helm Jousting Club, and that's been going for about a year and a half now. We do once or twice a month, we do a regular jousting event, and it is get on your horses. You got to wear all your armor. It's an actual, like if you were watching Knight's Tale type of jousting. It's a lot of fun. People really get into it. You can put barding on your horses. If you get a joust against somebody who is lower level than you, you knock them off their horse. Scoring, you hit a shield, that's a point. You hit their torso, it's 3 points. You knock them off the horse, it's 5 points and a win. So you keep jousting each other until some player gets 5 points. And it's a really fun thing to do. It's different, a little bit. Some people get into it. Some people are just like, who wants to joust? It's boring.
Well, what do you find exciting about it?
First of all, I love the horses. I love horses in real life. I like the heralding is really fun because when we have our tournaments, we also have heralds, and they'll come out. Like, have you ever seen Knight's Tale?
Heralds? I'm not, no.
Okay, so if you've never seen Knight's Tale, you probably won't get it. But like Krobin is one of our best heralds out here. I don't know if you've talked to Krobin or not. Yep, actually, he is on the list. But they come out and they introduce the person, and they've got a big speech about him and their horse. And Vaden, actually, across the room over there, is in Heart and Helm Jousting Club. He's one of my big helpers, and he's also a wonderful herald too. So it's a lot of fun.
Like cheerleaders for the jousters, or
more like an introduction for the jousters. So an example would be next up on the field, here comes the linear on her amazing steed Essel, and they're going to be showing the whole world what it feels like to eat dirt, stuff like that. It's fun.
So is this all like player mechanics, or is this jousting is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you have to get on your horse, mount your horse. You have to signal your horse to joust, and then there's a short timer. The mechanics go and it depends on skill, stats, who wins the joust. It's just a lot of fun to do.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I actually had no idea that was in the game until you told me yesterday. So,
Really?
Oh, no, I think you told me on.
It was probably
Thursday
Friday.
or Friday.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So jousting has been around for a really long time. We have a tournament called the World Jousting Tournament that I have taken over, and it is it's huge. It's provincial, so we go from Shard to Rotha or Aizri, Berengia. Crossing is usually where we have it in. I can't even think of that. Where is the crossing? I don't spend much time there. I'm a northerner. Anyway, we go to the different provinces and hold the jousts. People sign up. We have this 7 different ranks based on skill that you fit into. So people who are certain circles will go against as closely as we can match up. So it's a fair fight. Sometimes in practice we don't get fair fights, but it's still fun to cheer people who get backflipped off their horse, or count how many seconds it takes them to recover, because how hard you're hit depends on around time. Sometimes you can even get knocked out of the rim. It's a good time. But the World Jousting Tournament used to be ran by orders, and our order system has decreased, so we don't have the orders that we used to. And when I took it over the first year, I ran it all by myself. And the second year that I ran it, I enlisted the help of the orders so that we could try to get the prizes and gifts, because those are a big thing at events. Going to what's in the gift box? What are they
Even
giving us
here,
this time? Yes.
I won this.
Yeah. So, yep. And that, say you took the championship of the jousting tournament, your stainless steel stein printed with champion of the World Jousting Championship 444 would be your prize. So,
Okay.
we do try our best to get a lot of people involved and to reward them for participating and having fun with us.
So you're a northerner, you said?
I'm a northerner. Yes, I am Thuringia.
So is there like a divide between the continents?
The provinces. So Shard is at the bottom, and then there's, I can't think of what crossing is. I'm sorry, my brain doesn't work very well sometimes. Then you cross the river and you're in Thuringia.
Okay.
So there's a river that divides each province on this side, and then you have Muspari, which is further north, and Forfinder. Nobody can pronounce that one. We just call it Four for him. And then across the ocean is Rotha and Aizri and the islands. So we've got this whole world that we travel around boats. Moon mages can, set up portals and transfer us around. Horses get transferred from stable to stable via magic. So, say I stabled my horse in the crossing and I wanted to go to Rotha and joust, I just go over there and pull my horse out of that stable.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy.
Do you have to pay for that, or?
Yeah, there's some fees involved, but it's not expensive. Stabling. When you pull your horse out of the stable, they charge you kronars or dakoras, whichever province you're in. It's like, oh, your horse has been with us for quite a while. This is how much feed it's eaten. This is how much you owe us. So it's kind of like a real life boarding your horse somewhere.
So where are you from? I know you're from in the game, but where are you from in real life?
In real life, I live in Iowa. So I kind of am a northerner. Not too far north. But yes, in real life, I'm from Iowa.
Okay. Well, Iowa, I'm from Missouri, so we're
Nice.
both
I've
Midwesterners,
Yep.
or I guess you could say northern if you prefer.
I've lived in Missouri. I have lived in Oregon, Kentucky, Florida, Wisconsin. I think that's all.
You've been everywhere.
Yeah, I kind of call myself a gypsy. Been around.
So
Go ahead.
Oh, good.
I traveled in construction, so I moved around a lot.
Okay. So how do you like St. Louis so far?
Oh, I love St. Louis. I lived here for 2.5 years.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
What do you think of the pizza?
It depends on where you order it from.
Oh, that's definitely fair.
I don't know which pizza I like the best. Um, I'm a good old Pizza Hut Domino's girl. You know, I will try anything once, but please don't give me anchovies.
No, I like anchovies actually.
Some people do.
Yeah. Well, weirdo. No pineapple though.
No. Pineapple and pepperoni don't go together.
Ham. I can do with ham. It's okay.
Yeah, just not on pizza.
So, are you doing anything else in St. Louis while you're here? Or?
I would like to go before I go back home to Iowa. I would like to go drive across the bridges that I built. Yep.
Would you want to tell us which ones, or you don't have to?
Oh, I can, sure. I worked on the Chain of Rocks Bridge, which is the I-270 bridge up by Granite City.
Mhm.
And I also worked on the Daniel Boone Bridge, which is the 64 bridge.
Okay. Actually, I don't travel that area too often, so.
The Blanchette Bridge.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I was on that bridge briefly, not very long, the one by the Star Casino.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was only there for a couple of weeks. They had some piling troubles in drilling, and I was a drilled shaft specialist. So I get called in when there's a problem shaft, and I help fix it.
Well, do you want to tell me about your character? Tell me about Zally.
Zally. oh, Zally. She is something. So I have some favorite items. I have a specialty drink, which is rum. It's called Dark Fire Rum, and it's lined with pepper and has honey on it. It has its own unique flavor. You can't get it anywhere else. I have a little dragon charm that I have to wave to make my rum.
Zally exclusive.
It is. And so that's fun to pass out at events, and stuff. It's like, oh, I like you. Here, have some of my rum. And then I also have a little badge that I had made that says, keep it up and you'll become the next body in my basement.
Your character has the badge?
My character has the badge. Zally has a problem with the Paladin Council. She thinks that they're hiding secrets and people and just a whole bunch of problem people. So she kind of is anti-Paladin. There's exceptions like Madigan. He's a good Paladin. Vaden, Vaden is my in-game spouse. So he's an okay Paladin too, but I do threaten him with the basement. To be fair, there are no basements in the game.
I was going. Oh, so
no, this is all role
They're all
play.
one room. Yeah, they're all one room houses.
Yes.
So I was going to bring that up. Oh.
No, there are no basements. I have asked multiple times for alteration for just a door that says basement. It doesn't have to open. It doesn't have to go anywhere. I just want the door.
Now, what do you want the door to look like?
It would have to look like a dark, deep dungeon. Earlier in one of the panels, they said we're not going to offer torture or some kind of dungeon equipment for punishment as beds. We're not going to offer that. So I was like, man, that would be so cool for my basement. But of course, basements aren't a real thing. This is all role play, which DragonRealms is a role play game. So it's a lot of fun to get that out there and threaten people with my basement.
Well, if they make punishment props, they may be used for more than just
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So we're obviously here at SimuCon.
Yes, I love SimuCon.
Dark Fire Rum. So are you going to make some of that here for us all?
Like in game, I can. I don't have a bottle of it floating around in real life.
Can't throw together all the ingredients.
No. I don't know. I guess we could probably get some pepper and rum and honey, and it'd be like making a margarita.
Well, if you do,
yeah, we'll definitely get you some rum. But if you really want some Dark Fire rum, then you got to start playing DragonRealms.
Okay, fair enough. I got the blue lanyard, so
yep, I know. Maybe next year, right?
Maybe. So why don't you like the Paladins? What are they up to?
They're up to so much. They're hiding people. Prevalent people disappear. I feel like the Paladin Council is behind it.
Ooh, the 5 people.
Yes. Well, no, not the people who are in space jail.
Okay.
This is old lore. This goes back years. I think our Baron's crooked. And one time I tried to set his keep on fire. I started a riot for not being allowed into a ball. And there was a bunch of us who didn't get to go into the ball with the Baron. So, yeah, I started a huge riot. We were throwing food. We were lighting things on fire at the keep doors. That's the kind of person Allie is in game. She's
A rebel, huh?
yeah, not quite a heel, but not a good girl either. She's a pain in the
Why
rear.
wouldn't they let you into the ball?
The doors closed and were not reopened.
They
There were
never
nope.
explain or anything?
Nope. It was like, oh, okay, that's enough. We're done letting people in.
Well, you showed them, didn't you?
Yeah. I tried to burn the keep down. I'd do it again too.
So I hear the Baron's his health has been waning in recent years.
Nobody's seen him. Nobody can find him. Is he even still alive? Nobody knows.
Was he replaced by the Paladins? Taken away, kidnapped or something?
He is a paladin.
Oh.
So
Betrayed by his own kind, perhaps.
that's what paladins do. That's what they do best.
So, being a little bit of a rebel, are you with the Empire or against them?
Define empire.
Well, I'm the worst person to ask because
Okay.
I'm just told the Empire is the governing body in the world. Sometimes it's a little bit autocratic, from my understanding. Authoritarian a little bit at times.
Okay, so I can answer that kind of. I used to be the vice speaker of the Order of the Dragon Shield, which is all about Thuringian rule. It is all about anti-necros, anti-anything bad, and we are very pure Puritans. We always fight the bad guys. And then I wasn't that role anymore. And then I kind of questioned, oh, what do I want to do now? And then I started digging into the Paladin history and what they were doing. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they really are assholes. But not all of them, the characters themselves, there are good Paladins out there. But there are also ones who play rotten. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The rotten ones are the ones that I threaten with my basement.
So Thuringia rule. Is that the capital province or?
That would be the northern province. So in Thuringia, with the Barons rule, we don't have any tolerance of sorcery or necromancy. They're not allowed to set foot on the property. They cross that river, they die. So one of the fun things that Zally likes to do is stand by the river and set necromancers on fire when they climb out of the river. That's just another one of those. How far can I push Zally's buttons today?
Okay. So obviously there's some issues with magic in the world happening right now.
Yes.
You have any thoughts on that?
I think it all boils down to the Paladins. I think the bulwark is failing. I think that the Paladin Council knows about it. I think they're keeping the secrets from the rest of the world. And eventually it's all going to come out. Those are my thoughts, though.
Is Zally going to expose them?
I try every day. I go on missions to expose the Paladin Council. I go through the keep and pick locks and try to open doors that are locked and closed and find secret hiding places. And I'm always looking for things.
Should you be telling them that on a live stream? What if they're watching?
Then I'll probably end up missing, like Sir Baron and Owen and many others who are missing.
Well, what's the best evidence you have so far that the Paladins are behind this or involved in trying to cover it up?
The best evidence that I have ever come up with is all pretty well right in front of everybody's faces. They just choose to ignore it. People look past it, like the bulwark failing. the magic, when the paladins are supposed to be this golden, pure-hearted knight in shining armor, and they're out there practicing sorcery. What's it doing to the bulwark that they created to keep out the evil? It's letting the evil seep in. That's what's wrong with magic. That's what's wrong with the paladins, and I think that they are all behind it.
The bulwark failing. So they've created this in theory to try and stop monsters from coming in.
Correct.
But it's not. It's collapsed. It's not working anymore.
That's our theory. It's a working theory.
Okay.
It creates, or it doesn't create. It allows the darkness that's coming into the lands. That's one explanation, one theory, but that's the theory that I work with. That the paladins are behind it.
So what about the 5 people who are in space jail?
The guys who are in space jail, and unfortunately, due to some health issues, I have not been playing as actively as I used to be, and I was not a part of those events. So I only know what is being discussed at other places, other events. I don't know what happened to them that day. I didn't see it, so I really don't have a base opinion on it.
Okay. So what do you think of the text-based gameplay?
I love it. I love having to use your imagination to make things. There's no pictures to look at. There's no, I guess it's old school. I like make believe, making up stories. And I really love the aspect that there's 300 other people out there writing that same book with you. It's really cool. That's my favorite thing about it.
Collaborative efforts.
Yep.
So we kind of talked about this, but role playing. So what kind of role playing do you like to do?
It depends on the situation. It depends on how snarky I'm feeling that day. If I'm feeling like I'm going to be good and sit there and listen and keep my mouth shut, I usually have my cup of rum. I'll lean up against the wall, cross my arms, and if somebody says something that I would normally have a snarky response to, I just drink my rum. And that's just how I handle some of it. Zallie's one of those people that you just never know what she's going to say or what she's going to do. Everything may be fine, or she may turn around and set the necro on fire that's been standing in the corner and everybody's ignoring. You just never know.
Chaotic neutral?
Sure. Chaotic for sure. I don't know about the neutral part.
Chaotic something.
Chaotic.
You don't have to answer this, but did you ever engage with erotic roleplay?
Oh, like the Blue Door stories?
I don't know the Blue Door stories. I think.
Oh
no!
Wait a minute. That name's not on the list. No, we'll leave the Blue Door stories alone.
Okay. All right. A mystery for the readers.
Exotic roleplay in moderation, I guess, would have its place in ordinary roleplay. You just, it's a place and time type of thing. You don't want to ever take anything to an extreme. And that goes with any kind of role play.
Yeah, I agree. So player versus player, you're setting the necromancers on fire. So that seems to be something you're engaging with a little bit, at least.
Yeah, I get in trouble with consent a lot because you're supposed to take the time to look at the player's profile and see if they are open, if they're PvP open, closed, neutral, and I don't bother with it. So I get in trouble a lot for killing people I just like gank. You're a necro, you're on fire. and then I get that consent worn, or they're not real harsh with me because the people who are role playing don't like the necros that I'm setting on fire. They know it's coming from me. So it's a risk they're taking.
So why are the necros bad in your view?
Why are they bad? Because I'm a northerner and it's against the law for them to be where they are. I'm not going to do this behavior in Shard. I don't go to areas where they're accepted and set them on fire. But when they come to where they're not supposed to be, I take care of it.
Okay.
Or do my best. Sometimes I get the one set on fire.
So the necromancers, you can use fireballs and stuff too, or I don't know the spell.
Oh, they have all kinds of yucky magic. They can melt your face. They can throw acid and stuff at you. Just all kinds of spells that they have that actually are kind of cool. Neat spells. I wouldn't mind having a few, but Zallie's a purist. She doesn't do sorcery or agree with it either. So,
well, what do you think of scripting?
I think scripting is a great way to get experience, but I also use it in moderation. If my laptop is open and I'm playing, I'm in front of it. I may get up and go to the bathroom or go throw the laundry over, but if my game is open, I'm aware of what's going on.
Okay.
Because you never know what you're going to miss. Sir Baron may come strolling down the street. I don't want to miss that.
No, he's gone forever. The paladin got rid of him.
No, he's in hiding somewhere.
Chief paladin.
We'll find him.
So, what about your house? You said you want to have a basement. Unfortunately, not quite yet.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. So, what do you think of housing?
I think that there needs to be a little bit more housing than there is. My house is pretty awesome. I have a little cottage along kind of like a lake view, so I can see the lake from where my house is. And part of my role play here, I have a rusty pile of shields and swords outside the door of my house, which come from all of the paladins in my basement, of course.
Are they usable?
No, it's just decoration.
Okay.
But we have a lot of cool, I don't know, decoration stuff for houses. If it's fall, you can put pumpkins on your porch. If it's winter, you can put snowmen on your porch. There's a lot of decoration options, but I feel like they need to have more options for racial housing. Like the gnomes live in little knolls. There need to be more of them because they're so scarce and they're so sought after. One person sits and watches this house until the other person goes away and then jumps right on it. So if there was a variety, more tree houses, more gnome houses, dwarves like to live in caves. It would be really cool to have a better variety for racial.
Okay. You think that's something that they're going to be adding, or?
Yeah, I think that they probably will be working on it. It was discussed in one of our forums yesterday and today.
I was actually there for that one.
Yep. So I think
for a little bit.
I have high hopes for the housing. Actually, high hopes.
Well, you mentioned the fall and the pumpkins. Now there is a Halloween event, is there not, or something they don't call
Hallows
it?
Eve.
Hallows Eve. Okay.
And we have corn maze that you can run. It's a microtransaction, MT. But Hallows Eve is really fun. There's a lot of cool shops, a lot of different items that can only be gotten through fests. That's where I buy a lot of the prizes for the jousting is at the fests.
And you mentioned microtransactions. What do you think of the monetization of the game?
Like our in-game currency or
out of game? So like the SimuCon shop. Sorry, not SimuCon shop. The Simu shop, I believe it was called, or people have mentioned it. And then just the microtransaction events. I know.
Oh, like our SimuCoin.
SimuCoin, that was it.
Yeah,
SimuCoin.
So
yeah,
you can go into the shop and purchase items. Or if you're out of money, you're out of kronars, you can buy more kronars. I think that's an awesome idea. And I think there are times when people who can afford to do that, I'm not one of them, but when you want something, like the dragon talisman is so damn expensive. Every war mage wants a dragon familiar, but they're so expensive, nobody can really get one.
But so dragon familiars exist, but dragons themselves, except for the one.
Except for the world dragon, which is sleeping.
I was told by somebody else. It was one of the first people I interviewed. It might have been real.
Okay.
I think she mentioned, or it might have been somebody else. So I don't want to say, but they mentioned that there was an experience where they had encountered a one-time thing where they encountered a dragon that like a GM had created temporarily, I guess, for the game. That showed up like a role-play scenario, but it was only a one-time thing. And to her knowledge, that was the only time that a dragon had ever shown up, other than the World Dragon event.
I don't know much about that. I know that the GMs are really awesome with entertaining us with things like that. Like Joe Iranos is crazy good with the characters that he comes up with, like the Krenz, the Goblin, and all of the lava fire stuff with the volcano activities that he did. And I really, really enjoy his interaction with the game. And there's other GMs that put so much effort into it, and I feel like a lot of times they're underappreciated or maybe don't get the recognition that they should because they are important.
Yeah, a lot of people here have praised them. So
they're wonderful, wonderful.
So, what do you think of weddings?
Weddings are cool. I've had lots of them. Yep. So I marry a paladin and then I kill him.
Oh, really? That's your track record with it?
Yes, it's part of my role play.
Well, isn't your current
yes, my current spouse is a paladin. He has not disappeared yet.
He's not long for this world, it sounds like.
He's a good one. He's a good guy.
What do you think of the future of the game? And you can answer this in two ways, right? You can answer it in terms of the future of the game as a commercial product, and then also like the future of the game world itself. Either way, or both.
Our community is very small, as you can see. There's not a lot of people here. At any given time in game, there's between 300 and 600 people, but a lot of that is duplicate characters. Mm-hmm. So one person is running 6 characters. So in truth, we may have 200 to 300 people in our game base. I feel like we need to figure out how to market to the younger generation, or the game will die when we do. And that's sad because I love it. And I don't ever want to see it go away.
How do you bring in new people? How do you think?
Well, for instance, my daughter is 17, and I created a character for her and had her play it and see what she thought. And sometimes she'll hop on with me. Sometimes if I'm having health issues, I had a spine surgery. I was running the WJT when I was recuperating from this, and I was in so much pain that I was sitting beside her on the couch telling her what to type, and she was just like running my event for me. And I think getting our kids involved is an excellent way. I think marketing. I don't know anything about the marketing side. I don't know what they do, but I think, I think marketing wouldn't be hurtful. You know, put a TV commercial out. You ever wanted to write a book with 500 other people? Try DragonRealms or GemStone. You know.
Yeah. So, what was the? Oh, that's what I asked you. Oh, yeah, is your daughter a paladin? That's what I asked you.
How old? She's
no. Sorry, is she a paladin?
No, my daughter.
Perfect.
No, we made her an empath. We felt like that would be the easiest character for her to start.
I'm an empath in GemStone.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
really play, so.
You don't play?
Not really. I played like 20 minutes, maybe an hour.
No.
I still have climate wear from the last SimuCon that I won from the Roaring Twenties Casino.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a ton of fun.
And I never claimed it.
I didn't claim a lot of my stuff either, but it wasn't really items and things that Zally would use. So what I did claim, I gave away to people who wanted it. And I do that a lot. I'll see somebody struggling, a new character, not have the right equipment. I'll be like, hey, let's go shopping. Buy them whatever they need.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Are you a mentor?
I'm not a good mentor. They point at me and say, these are the things you don't do.
Well, any wild stories from DragonRealms?
I have so many wild stories. There was one time Vaden and I were sitting on the riverbank waiting for Necros to swim across because there was an event going on that was drawing Necros to Therangia. And we were fishing and having a fish fry, and just, as they would come across, chat with people, handed out fish, and I'd be burning the Necros. There's all kinds of fun stuff. It's a lot of it is very spontaneous. And that was one of those things. It was just like, hey, why don't we do this? It'd be so much fun. And it draws people to you, and you get involvement. You get people who are going, Now we'd rather go do the big thing, but sometimes I don't really want to be involved with the big thing because my skill level isn't high enough that I can really do much good. So I do things like that, small things.
Did you do Droutman's challenge?
Last night?
Yeah.
Yes.
How'd it go?
I got stuck in Droutman's. I lost the use of my left arm during the event, so I could no longer type. And I got actually help getting out of Droutman's today. I've been stuck in there all day. Yeah, I liked it. It was a lot of fun. Droutman's is one of my favorite MTs to do. So we get excited when our favorites come around. Everybody has their favorite.
Well, any wild stories from SimuCon?
Oh gosh. You'll see.
Tonight, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
You'll see. There's always fun stories, like last year at the Roaring 20s. My table was sitting there winning, and I was like giving my claims because we were going for this big house in Thuringia, right? Which still hasn't been built, by the way. We're still waiting for our house.
From last year?
Yeah.
What's the delay?
I don't know. The GM staff has so many other things on their plate right now. It's just not a huge concern. And the players are okay with it taking time. We're not going to make a big stink about it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. So do you play other mods?
No. It's DragonRealms always and forever.
Okay. Other video games?
Nope. My daughter has I think it's a Nintendo that she plays that sometimes, and then she plays Minecraft.
Okay.
And I'll watch her play Minecraft, but oh my gosh, there's one on my phone that she makes me play sometimes when she's missing a person.
Among Us? Or?
Yes, that's it.
It's crazy.
Yes, that's it. That's it. I know. But other than she'll send me a text message and she's like, I need a teammate, log in. So that's the only time I ever play any other video game.
Well,
Not a gamer. It's just DragonRealms because I love it.
All right. Well, other hobbies or interests you want to talk about?
Surprisingly enough, I love to crochet.
Well, someone else was too.
Yep, I was admiring Melly's blanket over there just a while ago. That's what made me think of that.
Yeah, I just reviewed her.
Yep,
not 20 minutes ago. It's probably like an hour ago now.
I'm kind of artistic. I like to doodle and make things. I like to carve. But
Carve?
It's work, home, eat and sleep most of my life.
The issue with working.
Working is what is required in order to have fun.
You carve, you said?
Yeah, I like to carve things.
Like wood or?
Anything. Wood, stone, soap, plastic. If I can make something out of it, I will.
You're gonna be a vendor here sometime?
No. I make things for people. A gift.
Well, would you like to take a couple wild cards? You can take any amount you want, 1 to 3.
A
really.
wild card. Oh
These
my
are
gosh.
Player community submitted questions. So these are all from people here at the con.
Okay.
You can leave your own too if you want. I can get a marker for when we're done.
I see which one mine is. Is there anything you know of? Uh-oh. They must be getting ready to set up for tonight.
Oh,
They're getting the meat out. Is there anything you know of that is cross-game lore that you feel should be expanded on? And I'm assuming that means from GS to
I assume so.
DR.
I didn't write it, but I would assume that's what.
I'm not familiar with GemStone enough to answer that question, but I know we both have horses, and I know GemStone's horses are better than our horses, and I would like for that to cross over to DragonRealms.
Why are their horses better?
They can do more with them. Like in DragonRealms, only paladins can ride their horses into battle. I want to ride my horse in a battle, but I can't. I can't make my horse jump across a rock in the road or lead it around the rock in the road, and they can. Ours just won't go. You
the
have to
horse
go
is like-
put it in a stable and then go to the other side of the rock in the road and pull it out of another stable, and it's just not.
So the horse is over the time span between the two games. They've lost this ability. The only paladins can ride them now.
I mean, I'm jealous. Only paladins can ride them in battle.
In the battle, yes.
Yes.
Well, is there
Yep.
anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I kind of covered everything that your questions. I don't know, did you have any other questions?
What's it like running an in-game organization?
It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding when you can create fun for other people. It makes me feel really good to be able to provide the community with something that they wouldn't otherwise have. So in a way, it's kind of self-satisfying, but it's also because I love everybody else. And, I know you don't get that when I talk about Zally, but I am a people person and I love people, and I'm not a baddie. I just do bad
The
things.
people in the basement disagree.
They're in the basement for a reason.
Well, thank you, Zally.
You are very welcome. It was fun.
It was.
All done?
Yep, we're done.
Okay. That was fun.
Thank you.
I don't know how to turn it off.
And we'll probably be going live here with someone else in a minute too, because I don't think he ever told me his name, but the gentleman over there said he was interested. The green jacket.
Taffless.
Taffless?
Taffless, I think.
Taffless. Okay.
Do you want
Well,
me to grab him?
He's getting some alcohol right now, so I'll wait a minute.
Some mead.
Oh yeah. This might be a fun interview with some mead. I don't know. It might be wild. All right, we'll see you in a minute, okay? Like 4 or 5 more. All right. Well, here's your mic. If it's green, it's live. And then, of course, there are political questions too, but those are optional. We can skip those if you want. It's entirely your call. Make sure we're still good on recording. We are. Oh, if you want to sign your name, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
I thought your name was Tathless for a minute, but it's Thanatar, right?
Tathless is also, yeah, mine's Thanatar, but he's one of the buddies that I bought.
Okay.
For.
Do you prefer to go by your first name or by Thanatar?
Thanatar.
All right. Well, hey, Thanatar, nice to meet you again. How you doing?
Doing good.
All right. Well, hey, you're a DragonRealms player. How long have you been playing?
I started back during the AOL days, played up till about 2003, then took a 20-year break and just recently came back.
Oh, really? 20-year break. How different is it?
Night and day. I had to relearn everything. Everything that I thought I knew did not apply to the new DR.
What made you want to come back after all this time?
I recently retired from work and left my MC, so I had to find something to fill in some time. And I went, well, let's see if it's still around. And yep.
Did you meet any of your old friends from back in the old days?
Yep. Tath and Lycia, actually, the ones that I got to meet for.
Mm-hmm.
They were the original group of people that I ever hung out with or socialized with in the game.
And they're here at the con too, or?
Yep.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Reconnected with another one who's now one of the GMs. Reconnected with one of my old enemies. So it's been good.
All right. Well, where are you from?
Originally, I hate to admit this, but originally California, Oklahoma for the last 11 years.
Okay. Why'd the move?
Because I hate California and all the stupid politics.
Well, we can talk about that if you want to. It's entirely your call. All right. Well, how do you like St. Louis?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, you plan to do anything else here while you're visiting, or?
No, not this trip, but I'm out here in Missouri quite a bit, visiting brothers from the old club. So.
Okay. Well, tell me about your character.
He's I have two mains that I play. I'm leaning more. When I started, all I ever played was Barbarian. When I came back, I also picked up Thief. And I'm leaning more towards Barbarian again.
Oh, I'm just taking some notes. I write as yeah. So, is there a Thief's Guild?
What guild?
Exactly. So, were you able to recover your character from the 90s?
No.
Oh. That would have been such a great story.
My original character, when it went from AOL and it migrated from AOL, I lost my original character during that move, but I do still have the one from once AOL was gone.
Mm-hmm. So that was what, late 90s then?
97.
Okay. Well, what do you think of the text-based gameplay?
I love it because the thing that I like the most about any of the text-based games, like if you take the graphics-based, like WoW or something, there's a very set specific thing and everybody sees the same thing. Whereas with a text-based game, everybody interprets what they read to a way that suits their thinking better. So where I'm looking at a room and I'm noticing particular things about it, someone else may be noticing other particular things about it that stick out. I love that aspect of it.
Well, it's imagination. So a barbarian who becomes a thief, or is both?
He has a little brother, which is the thief.
Different character?
Yes.
Okay. Do you engage in role play?
Yeah. Try to just. I'm not one of the sticklers for everything has to be RP, but if there's RP going on, I do like to get involved in it.
Okay. What kind of role play do you like to do when you do it?
Like Melly was saying earlier, I like going to the pubs and just hanging out. I like doing things like when they're like with this event that's going on right now. Even though I'm not a magic user, I go along to basically perform guard duty while they're doing their rituals. Fun.
Okay. So, do you do the erotic role play? You don't have to answer this, by the way. I did all of it.
Long ago. No, not now.
Gotcha. All right. You do player versus player at all? Oh, okay. All right.
That's probably one of my favorite aspects of the game, and that's the biggest change that I noticed from then to now. Is back then everybody was very guarded and secretive about their special sauce and how they actually were able to perform the way they did. Nowadays, the PvP community, in character, two people may absolutely hate each other and try and kill each other on sight every time, but then through Discord or whatever, they'll be talking, chatting, laughing it up, and giving each other pointers on things.
Huh.
So it's a really nice change.
So you prefer that, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So Magic is having some problems. I'm sure you've noticed. What do you think?
I'm loving it. Anytime I can see a grown warmy cry makes me happy.
Those are warlocks or
Warrior mages.
oh, warrior mages? Okay.
Because anytime that they're actually able to cast spells, it's usually me that's doing the crying.
So is this in PvP too? The spells are messing up. Oh, that's probably pretty beneficial, isn't it?
It has its moments.
What do you think's causing all this?
Honestly, I put a bit of thought into this, and I think a lot of it stems from the necromancers and the way that they've been treated. Because in any culture, no matter whether it's a real world culture or if it's an end game, balance is always a key issue. Okay, now a lot of these necromancers, they're not trying to do anything. They're not going out and slaughtering people. Some of the necromancers that I've met are some of the nicest people I've met in the game. But because of their guild, they get treated a certain way. And I think that has thrown things out of balance.
So some of the people, one of the people I interviewed actually is Allie. I just interviewed her, and she kills the necromancers when they're in Thuringia.
Yep, the group that I'm part of the Northern Watch. There is the Baron put a no necromancer rule in Theron, and if they show up, we will politely tell them they're not allowed there, and if they ignore it, then there are members of the Watch that will deal with them.
How do you see this all being resolved? The magic situation or the necromancer situation? They're one and the same, I guess, for you. You suspect.
Yeah, my personal take on it all, but I think the way that it's going to be finally fixed, as it were, is once the stereotype of how people see necromancers is squashed. Because if you think about it, you go all the way back to the Gorbash Wars and everything. Okay, we had horrible ideas of Calder. Okay, now they're a common thing out there, and they're accepted. So I think once that happens with the necromancers, we'll kind of get back more to that balance, which will even things out.
Okay. The Gorbash Wars. That was with the Kaldar, or what was that?
It was either the Gorbash or the Sorrow. Like I said, I've been gone for 20 years, so it all kind of jumbles together.
Okay.
Those past memories.
You have any thoughts on scripting?
Scripting, I think it has a place because up until I came back here, it's only been like 4 or 5 months ago that I ever touched a single script. Everything done by hand before then. I have a extreme hatred for AFK scripters. And one of my biggest complaints in the game is that I can't kill them like I used to
Why
without
not?
getting in trouble.
Why can't you kill them?
It used to be, it was always against the rules, but the GMs didn't really enforce it because they had so much other stuff on their plate and they also didn't approve of it. So a lot of times that I think they would kind of look the other way. Nowadays with the smaller player base, it's you can't really get away with it. But yeah, I despise AFK scripters.
All right. Well, maybe you'll be allowed to gank them again sometime.
I hope so.
You have a house in the game?
Nope.
Any thoughts on weddings?
The in-game?
Yeah, in-game weddings, yeah.
I think it's actually kind of a cool thing because I've known actually a lot of people who initially met through the game and then eventually it progressed to real life, and so I think it's a cool thing.
Oh, cool. Now, you're a returning player after 20 years, so monetization. What do you think of the monetization strategy?
I actually like it because I think that's the only way the game's going to stick around, to be honest, because it's a company, it's got to make money. And the way that they used to do it with, you'd have your little quests that you could run, but those were pretty infrequent, and then you had the subscription. But at that time, you had at normal peak hours 1,400 people playing. Now you've got at peak hours usually about 400, 450. The monetization, the empty events, that's how they are able to keep this game alive. And I personally, I'm willing to pay that extra money to be able to keep coming back to this.
Okay. Now, you can answer this one of two ways. The future of the game. So we can answer in terms of the future of the commercial product and also in terms of the future of the game world itself and where you see that going.
Okay.
Or you can do both if you want.
As far as the game world and where I see it going, it is one of the things that's always been very unique about DR is it is constantly evolving. There's new critters coming in, new provinces, new story arcs. So I don't see that ever really slowing down. Also, you've got all of us who have been playing forever. Well, now we're at the age where our kids are actually starting to get into games and stuff like that. So I think it will continue because it will have a new influx of players coming in. It'll still probably be, pretty niche, but I think it'll be around for a long time.
Okay. All right. And any wild stories from the game, either from you want to do one from the past and one from today, or from the from the 90s and from recently?
Okay. That original group that I told you about that I reconnected with here, we were actually for a while we were on the no heal list by any empath, and the way that happened was actually because we were helping empaths. We were hunting down and killing anyone who stole from or killed an empath. Yet because we were doing that in the empath guild, sometimes we got put on the no heal list.
So they didn't approve of you killing the people who were going after them because they were against killing people.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we got put on a no heal list until we got one empath that went, I don't care what you say, and she joined us.
Well, let's think about that for a second, right? They're supposed to do no harm, I suppose, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by not healing you, they are doing harm. So, I mean,
I think it was, honestly, I think a lot of it had to do with, at the time, pretty much a good amount of the healers actually had ties with the people that were doing the stealing and the empath killing, and they were friends, so they were off limits.
Oh, so they were in on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have evidence of that, or
No, that's my personal belief.
okay?
And facts that I've seen them talking together at times. But I mean, anybody can do that. But
Mhm. Well, any recent stories since you've returned that you've excited about, or that you've happy to experience?
I'd say since returning, the thing that I'm most happy experiencing is actually relearning the PvP, relearning, all the abilities within the guild, all the difference to stances and the way you used to attack is different, and just seeing how the community has progressed from then to now.
Well, how's it progressed, you think?
I think it's progressed a lot because if you think about it, back in the day, usually when you're younger, you're a lot more hot-headed.
Sure, yes,
So-
that's true.
People would fly off the handle at any little thing, and because the community wasn't tight knit, it led to actual personal grudges and problems
Mm.
and things that spilled over from character to player. Whereas now, because we're all a bit older and a little bit more wise and laid back, we can separate the player versus character.
Well, that's good. Hope everyone can get along, and in real life, in the game, it's all bets are off, right? But now, did you go to SimuCons in the '90s or no?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, not the SimuCons. I went to the Vegas cons.
okay. Well, what was that like?
A very different experience. That was Party Central.
Yeah.
And most of the time too, when you went to the Vegas cons, you had your set specific little clique that you ran with, and that's who you hung out with at the con, and you partied and you went out and you did whatever. And this I like a lot more because it's, I guess in a way, it's a more intimate setting because you get all these people packed together in the one room, and eventually you're going to talk to somebody that you don't know,
Mhm.
that you may recognize their name in the game, and you get a new friend. So I think it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Any wild stories from either VegasCon or SimuCon you want to share?
None for a family game.
All right, fair enough. And do you ever play any other MUDs?
No.
Any other video games?
I play lots of video games. I did my stint in WoW and the Final Fantasy 14.
Hey, I play that. I used to.
I actually I was a beta tester for the Star Wars: The Old Republic. Beta tested for Lord of the Rings Online. Some of the other main ones. Star Trek Online. I still play Star Trek Online every once in a
What's your race in there?
while. In there, I'm human.
Well, what's the best Star Trek series?
For me,
Yeah, for your personal.
original series.
Okay.
I actually let me do a caveat on that. I have more of an emotional connection to the original series because that was the first Star Trek that I ever saw. Getting to stay up late at night as a little kid watching it with my mom. The reruns.
It's awesome.
My actual favorite of all of them is actually Voyager.
Mhm.
Because Janeway, she was the perfect mix between Kirk and Picard, and the crew, they weren't just carbon copies of the original series with a different name. Like if you take the Next Generation and put it up against the original series, every character basically, other than Deanna Troi, was a carbon copy of someone from the original series, which made me dislike it.
Picard is a bit different from Kirk, though, quite a bit.
He was different from Kirk, but he was also very much like, at that time, the way they kind of portrayed Pike, who was the original captain.
Yeah, in the first episode, right? Was it the Changeling or?
Pike even called his number one, number two. So he was kind of a carbon copy off of Pike. Then you got Worf, who was your carbon copy of Chekhov, except a bigger version. You had Data, which was Spock, just
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly.
What do you think of DS9?
DS9, that one was very hit or miss for me. There were some that I liked, like I liked that the original girl that was the Trill species.
Oh, Jedzia.
Yeah, Jadzia. I liked her. I hated Cisco from the start.
Mhm.
He bugged me. Um, Bashir. Sometimes I liked him, and sometimes I just wanted to reach through the screen and strangle him when he was whining. But the storytelling of it, I thought was really good.
Yeah, I think the storytelling of DS9 is probably my favorite of them.
Yeah.
But it was also a lot less episodic than Next Generation and TOS.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any other hobbies or interests you want to talk about?
Hobbies: riding my motorcycle every chance I get, shooting my guns.
Hey, what do you own? If you don't mind me asking. You don't have to tell me.
Oh, I've got an AR set up for marksmanship. I've got an AR set up for CQB. I've got 2 different 9mm. I've got my standard everyday carry, which is my Ruger Security 9. I've also got a SIG P220. I've got a 45, the 1911 A1. Just sold my 40 because I hated that damn thing. I think that's all I got now. Yeah.
Nice. I grew up around guns, but I don't own one personally. Yeah, that might change with with the security situation with being a YouTuber and stuff. You know,
And
some
also
crazy.
with the way things are going nowadays.
Well, I hope everyone stays chill and there's no violence, political violence, or anything like that. You know.
I hope so too. But
Yeah.
the days where people used to be able to sit and debate something and come to a compromise, those seem to be gone. Now it's either these people drank this Kool-Aid and they're not budging, or these people drank this Kool-Aid and they're not budging.
Well, how do you think we can? We don't have to answer that. We can move
I'm
on.
fine with it.
Okay. How do you think we can restore people's ability to have conversations and get along with each other and compromise, like you said?
Honestly, I think a lot of it, sadly, the way we're at now is because of the internet and the ability for people to speak their minds without getting punched in the mouth. I think if we started actually as a society putting emphasis on accountability for your actions,
Okay.
I think that would go a long way. Because nowadays, if you look at all of these people that do things, it's never their fault. There's always someone else to blame. It was my childhood. It was because I was beat as a kid. Hell, as a kid growing up, I used to get the belt all the time because I was a little shit. And I haven't went around on a shooting spree yet.
Well, you say accountability. One of the things that people might point to is that there's examples on the left and the right of this of people engaged in cancel culture, right? So you say something on social media, it goes viral, and maybe you get people calling your work, and they're like, "Hey, look, this person's a Nazi, this person's a whatever." And they try and get you fired, and I think that's hurt, like that quote unquote accountability. Which I mean, some people would see it that way. I don't know if you would see it that way.
I agree.
I think that's hurt our society a lot.
And again, a lot of that stems from the fact that people can do this without having to be face to face with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be back in the day, it didn't matter who you were. You watched what you said to somebody because they were right there. And if they didn't like it, you were going to scrap, like it or not. And that now you got the age of participation trophy, so nobody actually has to earn anything anymore. You
Like
got
this mug.
you got people that they feel free to actually say things or do things that are cruel or hurtful or just downright disrespectful, that if they weren't sitting behind a keyboard, I guarantee you they wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, sure, 100%. But we're not. The internet's not going to go anywhere. So what do we do? How do we live within this? This is a big question. I don't have an answer. I have no idea.
Unfortunately, I do not know how to get past that either. One of the things, I joined the military at 17. So I think something that could help a little bit with that is if these kids, as soon as they come out of high school, do at least 2 years in the military. because you get to travel some, you see some other cultures, which opens up your mind a little bit to other people's way
Sure.
of thinking. And then that leads to eventually where you can sit down with someone and completely disagree, be on opposite ends and go, okay, you know what? I don't like it, but I can see your point.
Yeah. Well, I am sympathetic to like national service, but I would want it to be like military as an option, but also have civilian sector options
Well,
too. If
it
there's
doesn't
areas
have to
where
be like
yeah,
military. Like you could go Peace Corps.
yeah,
You
sure,
could do
that's
something that will allow you to serve your country, basically, do your patriotic duty, and at the same time broaden your mind a bit.
well, and I think you said broaden your mind too, and that being exposed to other cultures. I think even being exposed to people within our own society would be useful, like especially for young people, right? You know, you just graduate high school, and then now you have someone who's from California or someone from Texas and someone from all the different races and ethnicities coming together and religions, and they're all serving as part of a military unit or as part of the Peace Corps or whatever it happens to be. I think that that's probably good for building unity in the country and hopefully bridging a lot of the divides that people feel like they have.
I mean, we've made a lot of progress, I would say, as a society from when I was a kid to now. Because back when I was a kid, there were certain races and certain lifestyles that were just completely there. People were cruel, mean, vicious. Whereas now, it's more the norm for people to actually go, okay, you know what? If that's if that's your choice, if that's what you want to do, cool. That's you. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I think we made a lot of progress as well. I know it's something that people don't want to talk about, and obviously, I mean, that's not to say that everyone's perfect and that there's obviously there's still issues we can talk
plenty to
about.
be
Yeah,
progress to be made.
sure, absolutely. But I think it's also important like to recognize the progress we have made too.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
which we don't always do.
that's also another thing that I think has been a problem lately is okay, history. It's human history is dirty. It's nasty. It's brutal. It's but it's there for a reason. Okay, if you don't have that history there, and if you try and change the history to fit your narrative or cancel it out because you don't like it, that's a problem because that means it's not there for people to learn about and learn from the mistakes made at that time, which means eventually that mistake's going to be made again on down the road.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I actually am my other book I'm working on a similar process to this actually, but it's all online. It's not in-person interviews. It's about Gamergate, and so actually I feel like that's something that people can learn from. That unfortunately, if you look at the way a lot of the press covered it, I feel like they did a really bad job. And so like I'm going in and I'm interviewing the people involved in it, and trying to like fact check the things they say too. I'm not just take everybody at face value. Like if they just claim something, like well, what evidence do you have for that, right? Um, but I think it's difficult because I lived through that, and we all lived through it, I guess, because everyone here is old enough to have lived through it, whether they were involved or not. But I feel like that's something where it's important that we get the history right, and I feel like right now we're not for that particular issue, right? And there's other things we can point to in society as well, like well, with that one we can re-examine, but we have to be able to learn from history, and it's a constant process too of trying to understand what history is and try to understand like what actually happened too, because there's new evidence coming up, new archaeological evidence,
Yeah,
and all
you
sorts of stuff.
obviously have to interpret it because what's that old saying? History is written by the victor.
Mhm.
So you're never going to get the actual truth of what happened out of it. As time goes on, like you said, things have been showing up which tell the other side of it.
Mhm.
The way that, and I think this is one of the problems we have, especially in the political spectrum nowadays, is people don't do their research anymore.
That's definitely true.
They will read an article from whichever side of the Kool-Aid drinkers they're on, and they take that as gospel.
Well, I'm reading an article, people don't even do that half the time. It's like, oh, I saw a tweet, or it's like
Or word of
okay,
mouth. Saw a TikTok the other day that said, yeah.
Yeah, what I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I'm a YouTuber, a political live streamer. I try to do research on stuff. I don't have strong opinions on topics unless I like know a lot about them. Generally speaking, I try to avoid that at least. But I try to do research on my live stream too. So that way, like, whatever I'm learning, I'm not always good at this. I sometimes do it off air a lot, but whatever I'm learning and seeing on screen, other people who are watching can see it. And like if they think, well, look, actually that's wrong, here's why, and they're able to like point to better sources or something like that, then I'm being challenged and peer reviewed live. Plus the audience can see, okay, so that's why you drew that conclusion. And it's not just like, oh well, he said this. Right. It's like, okay, here's the trail of evidence that I looked at. And if other people disagree, like I don't like I just care about being right, quote unquote, like getting the right answer, right?
Right.
Not being perceived as being right.
And actually, now that I think about it, you said, how could we get to the point where we could get back to the compromise?
Mhm.
I think that right there is exactly how we do it. Get people to start doing research on stuff before they talk about something, you know. And if they're doing the research, then whatever side they're on, they're going to see that this stuff was written kind of to fit the narrative of their side. And they're going to see holes and flaws and contradictions. And then it's going to be the same way over here because theirs is written to their narrative, which means then that allows you to actually come together and speak about that topic. You both know there's holes and flaws. So now you can talk, speak your own mind, and come to that compromise.
Well, I can't talk about this too much because the powers that be don't want me to, and that's understandable. I told them I would respect that, so I'm not going to really broach the issue. But speaking vaguely here, am I doing that with this project? Because obviously I'm getting a wide variety of perspectives here, and it's about a video game. It's like a relatively low stakes, right? Or two video games, yes, technically. But I'm not interviewing everyone's. I'm not getting everyone's perspective because there's some people's perspective who aren't here, and I would like to include that perspective. And if they're watching, they can reach out to me for sure. I would appreciate that. But am I? If I just run forward with just the interviews I have here at the convention, am I missing part of the story because certain voices are going to be excluded, which is always going to happen anytime you do something like this. But
I think not really so much because like if you took like say you said DR was the left and GemStone was the right, so you interviewed people from both parties or whatever. There are obviously like you said some that aren't getting to do it, but the thing is because you're doing it on YouTube and whatnot, those people can come in at any time and look over and go, okay, you know what, this person was right. This person actually gave you false information, so they can have the ability to still have their voice heard and their perspective seen.
okay, yeah, that's right, and especially since we're not talking about. Well, I can't get into that. I'm sorry. I promised
All good.
someone I wouldn't. Okay. Oh, the wild cards. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about, like relating to our discussion about civility and politics and compromise.
The only last thing I would say on the politics is probably the only way we really fix that is get rid of all the career politicians.
Yeah.
Term limits. Get rid of the getting kickbacks from this company or that company to pass a bill for them. Until we do that, we're never going to get things completely right.
Okay. I'm a bit more pro system, I guess. But I mean, what do you think of Citizens United? Well, no, we don't have to go here. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know much about it really. I mean, I listened to because they do oral arguments. So I listened to the oral arguments and to the closing statement, but I've not read the full case myself. But it's an area where I have an interest because
For which one?
Citizens United versus FEC, the Supreme Court decision in 2000 and
I don't know that one actually.
10 or it might have been 9. Okay, never mind then.
I don't know that one.
And that's the one that allowed. Well, I should probably be able to say okay. It allowed corporations to use money and labor unions as well to influence politics to run like super PACs and it's called, what do they call it? It's a certain kind of expenditure, but basically it's a special kind of expenditure that they call it. But anyway, they're allowed to use money to promote their political views or promote candidates specifically, not just views, but candidates themselves and endorse
their views.
Yes,
I disagree with that. I think that needs to go away because, and it's been known, America, you got your elites, your 1%, and then you got everybody else, and everybody else is your middle class, which is You know, they're okay. They're not great, but they're not doing bad. That's a very small percentage compared to the poverty level people. And as long as those one percenters are making the rules or helping influence the rules, things are going to get better for them, and they're going to keep getting worse for everybody else.
It's a pessimistic take.
It's human nature. Power corrupts. Total power corrupts totally.
All right. You want to take a couple wild cards? You can pick 1 to 3. It's up to you.
What moment in game was the point where you realized this was home?
Aw.
From Naz. I will say from back in the day, way back when, it was actually when I met Path and Lissy, because I didn't hang out with anyone. I didn't speak. I didn't do it. I came in and I hunted stuff, and if people wouldn't shut up and kept talking and take me off, I'd kill them. That was all my experience. And they kind of just they pulled me in, and they were like, "Nah, you're one of us." And the feeling that I got from that actual, and it's weird to say because it's in a game, but that fellowship, that kinship connection, that's when I knew this was for me.
That's awesome. I hope they enjoy the mead.
I hope so too.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? All right. All right. Well, thank you, Thanator.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, the mic. Yeah. Unless you want all of your conversations to be recorded. All right. Thank you.